Good greetings. Welcome to the episode that you get to learn about access to finance and information. I'm going to start today's episode with a question. From the perceived knowledge that you have about SMEs in Africa, which do you think is the greatest obstacle of doing business? So, we have licensing and permits, access to finance, legal issues, lack of information. All of these are truly an obstacle that hinders African SMEs. That's right. According to the enterprise surveys conducted by the World Bank, access to finance is perceived by SMEs all over the world, including Africa, as the greatest obstacle to doing business. Meanwhile, lack of access to market information was reported by SME as being the greatest reason why they did not export. And I repeat, lack of access to market information was reported by SMEs as being the greatest reason why they did not export. According to the OECD, in today's episode, we're going to look at these twin issues: access to finance and access to information in more details. Access to finance and information is a twin problem to developing intra-African trade. And these two big problems have been reported by the African SMEs when it comes to doing business and exporting, that lack of access to finance and lack of information are the biggest problem in their sector. In 2019, actually the African Development Bank and the African Import-Export Bank estimated that there is an annual trade gap of around $82 million in missing trade finance for African SMEs to achieve their export potential. Another main reason that cited for the rejected African SMEs application when they're applying to banks and they're wondering why are we not getting these loans. When it comes to trade financing, you find that the SMEs, the reason why they're being rejected by the bank or the financial institution is because, one, they have inadequate collateral. Next, they perceive weak credit worthiness. And third, incomplete paper trails, i.e., know your customer provisions. So these are the things that normally SMEs they do tend to overlook. But I believe, as Vusi said, that the problem is that we think SME is like in Africa, like a small thing, like it's just a small business. So reporting or reports have particular difficulties in obtaining the right information. So you find that African SMEs report to various institutions that they have difficulties obtaining information on trade contracts, business opportunities, rules and regulation, export support measurement, and trade markets. Target markets. So today I'm going to give you tips and additional resources on where you can get these things that seems to be so difficult to get. Aren't you curious? Like, where can we get actually these things? Lack of information impacts all aspects of the business. While this is true for all companies, it is particularly difficult for SMEs to bear. For example, if an SME is not aware of the potential contracts, it cannot apply for them. So if you don't know about something or potential business, you cannot apply for them. It may not be aware of the new developments, such as the new roads being built, or the new trade policies being implemented. It may not know who are the best freight forwarders are. It may not know how to take advantage of the rules of origin regulations. In short, providing accurate and clear information to SMEs is crucial to enable them to trade successfully no matter how many advantageous trade policies are or usefulness in the new infrastructure that is being built. The increase of the availability of trade finance for the SMEs. Trade finance is a complex subject to which we return in more details later during the episodes. However, today I'm going to show you the importance of knowing what are the currently and several initiatives underway that can increase the availability of trade finance to you or to your African SMEs. Africa Export and Import Bank has launched an initiative to promote the use of factoring to enhance access to finance for SMEs. It's working currently with Factories Chain International (FCI) to capacitate African banks to act as factors for African SMEs wishing to export, while at the same time helping them mitigate any market difficulty that this might cause. So if you're in Africa and you have a business, let's say you have a land of which you started cultivating crops and you have these crops. You cannot say that, okay, you're limited to selling your crops locally. No, you can export to Cote d'Ivoire, you can export to South Africa, you can export anywhere in this African continent. And that's the beauty of it. So the bank is also developing an asset backed lending program whereby African entrepreneurs can use their assets, whose value is expected to rise with inflation, as a solid collateral to access trade financing. Now, this is a good news actually to entrepreneurs who knows what to do when it comes to ensuring that they have assets which will raise with inflation. Inflation. If you would like to find out more about the Africa Export and Import Bank, what it's doing to support African SMEs in terms of bridging the African trade finance gap, I'm going to share with you a link or a title that you can actually search on YouTube and you're going to find it. So you just go on YouTube and search Bridging the Gap in African Trade. And you're going to find an interview there by Kofi Adu, who is the head of guarantees and specialized finance in the African Export and Import Bank. The Pan African Payment and Settlement System is a centralized payment and settlement infrastructure for trade in Africa, managed by the African Export Import Bank in collaboration with Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat. The Pan African Payment and Settlement System was developed as a digital platform that allows cross border payment for intra African trade. It ensures that whenever we have this intra African trade, instantly payment for intra African trade are made instantly and in African currencies. This will help stimulate the intra African trade. So you don't have to know, like, okay, how much do I need to sell it when I need to export it to Ghana? I'm going to share with you an example of how the Pan African system or payment and settlement system actually works. Imagine a company or a garden company importing batteries manufactured in Kenya. It will be able to issue a transfer order in SEDI, which the exporter will receive in Kenya shillings after the Pan African Payment and Settlement System has checked the payment order's validity and the SME have access to a system that makes transaction cheaper, simpler, easier, and low risk. If you'd like to learn more about this, kindly visit their website, African Export and Import Bank. You will learn more and more about how these settlements have been made. Tools to help SMEs access trade information. I'm going to share with you few tools which I've been working with. And with these tools, I believe you'll be ahead when it comes to actually knowing where opportunities rise and which opportunities you can take advantage of, okay, or start preparing or discussing with the strategic teams on the action to be taken. So the first one I'm going to share with you is the African Trade Observatory, the ATO. Among the five operational instruments that was launched by the African Continental Free Trade Area in July 2019 at the 12th Extraordinary Summit of the African Union, they developed a ATO, which was developed by International Trade Center with two objectives. The first objective is to provide timely and reliable data to inform trade policy decisions, assist business in decision making, and analyze the implementation and the estimate of its impact. The other reason why it was implemented, the AOT, is to support the start of trade under the African Continental Free Trade Area. The African Trade Observatory has several missions. One is to compare trade information and market access across multiple countries, products, or markets. So let's say you want to start shipment of new products. You can take advantage of ATO to really look or do your research on what products are being consumed in your target market. Also, to find detailed information on trade and market access conditions for a specific country or origin of product destination, or even the combination of all that which I've said. And lastly is to analyze the evolution of intra-African integration over time and more. So the other tool that we have on our pocket is the International Trade Center tool suite. They have a tool suite, okay, which offers business development freely accessible to business regardless their size and localization. So even if you're a small business, you can take advantage of this International Trade Center and get yourself access to these tools that are there. For instance, we have the trade map. The trade map is a statistical database of international trade which provides you the volume of import and export and re-export in most of the countries for trade in goods or services. The other tool suite inside the International Trade Center, we have Market Access Map, which is a directory of market access rules and conditions. It is a particularly effective tool for business development because it provides the current registration applicable to the release of a given good. Depending on whether it's been shipped from, you can find out if there are any preferentials of the applicable of the goods which you want to deliver or bring to the market. And another thing that is there is also it has export potential map. That tools offers us a very easy to interpret infographics on global and an untapped import potential by countries. So do your research diligently. Also, we have the roles of origin facilitator. It helps aim the SMEs to increase their trades. Through the simple search function, users can find and enter a product code, a country of export, and the country of destination, and immediately obtain key information on the available trade agreements, tariff benefits, product specified rules of origin, as well as other conditions and documentation requirements. You can imagine that you just need to type in your product and then you get all that information concerning the relevant or the relevance of the product that you want to bring to the market. So, other than that, or those tools, we have the investment map also is available there. And this clearly helps you guys, especially the investors who are looking for cross-border investment flow. You will find a database that provides you with the statistical information on the volume of foreign and even direct investment. The trade competitiveness map, know your competitors, okay? And the standard map, which provide information of more than 150 orienteering standards. These labels will allow you to distinguish your product or services from the competition, and they are very interesting solution for the up market strategy. The other toolkit that I would like to share with you guys would be World Trade Organization. They have facilitation agreement database, which has several components. It has the import, the export, and the transit procedures. It has the content details of the trade information points by country. It has national information points on a single window. And also it has national information points on the uses of customs brokers. The database will be deemed useful when you are creating the AFCFTA, which is the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement. You'll be using these tools to know your rights and obligations, which are made by a state party and also the World Trade Organization, TFA member state. So under that tool, we are going to see that you will find that we have the Pre-Inflation Trade Agreement database and we have Regional Trade Agreement database. Also, we have World Customs Organization, WCO, trade tools. This supports international trade actors in the World Customs Organization official platform. It was created to facilitate the work of international trade actors, classifying products, and supporting export and import. The tool is divided as follows. Let me walk you through quickly. We have the harmonized system where it's more like an advanced search engine. We have the preferential rules of origin. You're going to find every legal text, more than 350 trade agreements which are there. We have the valuation, and lastly, we have the trade information portal. So, an online tariff database, public notice, and details about preferential and regional trade agreements. All of these, you will find it in different African countries because many of the African countries have already set up their own trade information portal, which are freely accessible online. So, a good example of information portals, I have Kenyan, Tanzania, Uganda, and Cote d'Ivoire. We strongly recommend you make use of your own country's portal when it comes to export activities. The local customer authority can advise exporters on what paperwork they need to export and provide guidance on the license required for products to clear customs. Local bank meanwhile also have a wealth of information that SME can either access directly or being given advice on. Bank business division contains staff with strong knowledge of risk management, payment method, and other areas that can help SMEs without much export experience. So you don't have an excuse of saying that, okay, I'm not getting into this export business because I don't have enough information. What's more, most custom authority have their own website which offer guidance on these rules, regulation, paperwork requirement, rules of origin, duty rates, and other charges that may be incurred. Finally, as you all understand the valuable information and the toolkits that I gave you, you're going to realize that when it comes to trade in goods and services, investment abroad, as well as other areas of intra African trade and integration, working with the tools that are provided, it will be very easy for you, no matter what level of experience that you have, to have access to the information which is very paramount. While all of these factors are important to explaining the comparative high levels of European intra-regional trade, the particular difficulty of African SMEs is in obtaining trade financing, which probably is the greatest or the largest factor still being faced in the continent in terms of integration. The fact is that thanks to the African Continental Free Trade Area, Africa is set to replicate many of the conditions, okay, that they have seen in European Union regional export success, such like common standards, no internal borders, tariff-free trades, limited to no NTBs. You remember the non-tariff barriers. However, unless SMEs are being given greater access to trading, financing, and information necessary to make use of these opportunities, Africa will continue facing difficulties in reaching its full export potential. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm your host, Benson Machari. Bye bye.